Welcome to class, not a concert. Get your pen, please. Write this down. Our mission is simple and it is sacred. We transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. I am not here to entertain your emotions. I am here to educate your decisions. Tonight we are dealing with the laws that produce influence, because the world does not need more titles. It needs leaders whose very priorities reorder rooms when they walk in. Success is not a pursuit. Success is a result. Write that down. Tweet it to somebody right now. Success is the predictable result of obedience to laws. You don't break laws, laws break you. Joshua 1:8 says, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, for then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Notice, not by magic, but by law. Meditate, observe, practice. In other words, success is a harvest. Obedience is the seed. If success is predictable, then influence, listen carefully, is also predictable, because influence is the fruit that grows on the tree of success. The earth is groaning, not for celebrities, but for clarity. We have managers of chaos with microphones and no mandate. Do you see a man diligent in his work? Proverbs 22:29. He will stand before kings. Diligence is a law that escorts you into influence. Kings don't invite laziness. Write this down. The world follows those who consistently obey the right laws until their competence becomes unavoidable. Let me prove it with a story. In a small city, there was a young woman called her Ruth, working nights in a hospital laundry. No title, no budget, no committee. She studied one law: order reduces waste. She mapped the flow of soiled linens, created a time route, and trained her team to fold with a standard. Within 2 weeks, surgical delays dropped by 30 minutes because clean linens arrived on time. The chief surgeon changed his schedule to match her process. What happened? A follower became an agent of change because she obeyed the law until rooms reordered around her priorities. Influence. Say this out loud. Influence is attainable and predictable when I submit to the right laws. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. The shortest route to lasting impact is disciplined obedience to laws. The longest way to success is the shortcut. So get ready. This is not a series of motivational cliches. This is a manual. Take notes, ask questions later, act now. Because if you will honor the non-negotiables, people will volunteer their calendars to your vision. But before we can master the laws that make it happen, we must define influence, precisely what it is and what it is not, so we stop chasing shadows and start producing substance. Say this out loud with me slowly so your mind can hear your mouth. Influence is when other people change their priorities for yours. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. Write this down and tweet it to somebody right now. Influence equals priority transfer, not noise transfer, not title transfer. Priority transfer. Let me clarify the counterfeits. Attention is momentary. It is a glance, a click, a cheer. Authority is positional. It's the badge, the title, the corner office. But true influence is voluntary. It is when people, without coercion, rearrange their calendars, reassign their budgets, and redirect their behavior because your conviction became their compass. Psalm 110:3 says, your people shall be willing in the day of your power, not forced willing. That's influence. And Matthew 7:29 says of Jesus, he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. He didn't borrow a title, he carried a law. In other words, he spoke from principles so clear that fishermen left nets, tax collectors left tables, priority transfer, diagnostic time. Please write this down. If no one changes a schedule, you have an audience, not influence. If no one adjusts a budget, you have applause, not influence. If no one modifies behavior, you have entertainment, not leadership. Likes are not leadership. Views are not vision. Oh dear, I guess I'm talking to myself. Are you hearing me? Talk to the hand. Write it down. Influence equals priority transfer. Let me paint it. A young man posts videos and gets 50,000 hearts. He calls a 6 a.m. work session to build a community garden, and 2 people show up, his mother and his dog. That's attention. Then a quiet woman in the same neighborhood sets a simple schedule, assigns roles, and explains how fresh produce will cut grocery bills by 20%. The next week, 30 families move Saturday soccer to Friday night. Budgets shift, freezers make space. That's influence priorities, moving toward a clearer, wiser path. So say it again until it sticks. Influence is when other people change their priorities for yours. Say it back to me. Excellent. Now the question is, what forces create that transfer? Not luck, not hype, laws. Immutable, non-negotiable laws that when obeyed make priority transfer predictable. In a moment, I will show you the 6 laws that make people willingly reorder their lives around your leadership. But fix the definition first. Tweet it, text it, tattoo it on your planner. Influence equals priority transfer. Because once we define it right, we can build it right by law. Now, before we touch a single tactic, we must settle something foundational. Please write this down. You don't break laws, laws break you. Gravity doesn't forgive, it enforces. If you jump off a 10-story building with a Bible in your hand and a hymn on your lips, the law of gravity will escort you to the pavement. Why? Because laws are universal, eternal, embedded in creation. Rules, on the other hand, are cultural, temporary, and negotiable. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. Jesus settled this debate. In Matthew 5, he says, "Do not think that I came to abolish the law until heaven and earth pass away. Not one jot or tittle will by any means pass from the law." In other words, the laws don't move, they move you. Then in Matthew 15, he turned to the religious leaders and asked, "Why do you break the commandment of God for the sake of your tradition?" That word tradition is what we now call rules, man-made, committee-approved habits that can cancel truth. Tweet that. Rules can cancel truth if you let them. Let me make it plain with environment. Fish belong in water. That is not a suggestion. It is a law. You can baptize a fish into air, ordain it with a robe, teach it to quote Psalms. It still dies outside the water. Seed belongs in soil. If you keep a seed on your coffee table for 20 years, it will give you no harvest. You belong in purpose. The law of environment governs outcomes. Prayer cannot compensate for violation of law. Oh dear, I lost some of you. Pray in water, not on concrete. Pray while you're planting, not while you're procrastinating. Whatever he does shall prosper. Psalm 1 says, note the verb does. Write this down. Successful people always break the rules for the sake of the law. Rosa Parks broke a bus rule to honor the higher law of human dignity. Jesus healed on the Sabbath, violating a tradition to obey the law of love. Influence grows where true laws are honored, even when rules complain. If a rule in your office says, we've always done it this way and that way, violates the law of value, the law of stewardship, the law of excellence, break the rule, keep the law. The earth rewards law keepers with visibility. Kings look for competence, not compliance. Application time. Audit your life for rules that choke law. Some of you keep social rules that say, don't be too ambitious, while the law of potential is starving inside you. Others obey family rules. We don't start businesses while the law of seed and fruit is calling you to multiply. When you see the difference, success becomes predictable and influence inevitable, because laws create outcomes the same way every time. Obey the laws of purpose, problem solving, integrity, discipline, service, and vision, and people will voluntarily shift their priorities toward you. We're about to map those 6 laws, but settle this now. Obey laws and challenge limiting rules. Influence grows where true laws are honored. Write this down. Success is predictable. Failure is predictable. Laws make life predictable. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. You don't need to guess your future if you can track your obedience. Life is not a casino, it is a courtroom. The verdict follows the law. When you see a harvest, don't say they're lucky. No, someone found a law, honored it, and time kept the appointment. In other words, results are faithful to laws the way gravity is faithful to height. It never wakes up moody. God already gave you the playbook. Joshua 1-8, listen, please, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. You shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Circle the sequence: mouth, mind, motion, then prosperity, then success. Reverse the verse and hear the warning. If the book of the law departs from your mouth, if you refuse meditation, if you skip obedience, then you will make your way difficult and you will have public failure. Tweet that. Reverse the verse and you predict the pain. Let me shock your tradition a little. Prosperity doesn't come by prayer alone. I believe in prayer. I pray more than you talk. But prayer sustains. Laws produce. Prayer is what keeps you alive. Laws are what make you effective. You can speak in tongues over an empty field for 7 hours, but until you obey the law of seed and soil, nothing will grow. Oh dear, I lost a few of you. Talk to the hand and write this down. God will not do by miracle what he already scheduled by law. Ecclesiastes says, if the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength. But wisdom brings success. Sharpening is a law. Sweat without wisdom is punishment. Now, here the implication: since success is predictable by law, influence is predictable by visibility. People follow proven outcomes. Daniel 6:3 says, then this Daniel distinguished himself because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king planned to set him over the whole realm. Excellence is competence, obeying a principle consistently until kings reorganize their plans. A baker who delivers fresh bread at 6 a.m. every day will move a neighborhood to wake earlier. A plumber who stops the city's leak on budget will have the mayor's number on speed dial. They didn't beg for followers. Outcomes enroll them. So stop wondering if people will follow you and start practicing the laws that make following sensible. Influence is the predictable harvest of practicing the right laws consistently. In a moment, I will hand you 6 of them: purpose, priority, problem ownership, integrity of principles, discipline, competence, service, value exchange, and vision communication. Practice them until they become muscle memory, and watch calendars, budgets, and behaviors migrate toward your leadership like rivers to the sea. Open your planner. Influence is not magic, it is mechanics. Write this down. A tight framework makes influence learnable, teachable, and repeatable. And if you can teach it, you can scale it. If you can repeat it, you can predict it. Here is the framework: 6 immutable laws that make people willingly reorder their lives around your leadership. Purpose, priority, problem ownership, integrity of principles, discipline, and competence. Service, value exchange, and vision and communication. Say them with me. Good. Now, write this down in bold. These laws are sequential and synergistic. Each strengthens the others. In other words, roots feed the trunk feeds the branches, and the fruit proves the tree. Sequence before speed, synergy before scale. Tweet that to somebody right now. Briefly, the map. Law 1, purpose, priority. Your assignment sets your agenda. Jesus at 12 said, I must be about my Father's business. Luke 2:49. Not their business, my Father's. People follow leaders whose schedules are authored by purpose, not by panic. Law 2, problem ownership. Solve what people feel. David asked, is there not a cause? 1 Samuel 17:29, and took Goliath personally. When you take responsibility for a visible pain with your gift, people transfer priorities to your process. Law 3, integrity of principles. Trust is a magnet. Daniel's enemies could find no corruption in him. Daniel 6:4-5. Consistent obedience to principle creates predictability. Predictability creates trust. Trust creates voluntary followership. Law 4, discipline and competence. Excellence separates you. Do you see a man diligent in his work? He will stand before kings. Proverbs 22:29. Daily discipline becomes visible competence, and competence commands attention and access. Law 5, service, value exchange, make others greater. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Mark 10:45. Serve in such a way that your priorities become the obvious path to their progress. That's value exchange. Law 6, vision and communication. Make it plain, make it sticky. Write the vision and make it plain. Habakkuk 2:2. Clear, repeated, memorable communication converts private conviction into public movement. Please write this down. apply them in order, then integrate them daily. Influence compounds. If you reverse the order, you weaken the engine. If you isolate a law, you leak power. Think years, if one tool is missing, torque is wasted. Purpose chooses your problem. Principles protect your process. Discipline builds your competence. Service delivers your value. Vision broadcasts your future. And when this rhythm is kept, calendars migrate, budgets align, behaviors adjust, priority transfer begins. Say it out loud. Sequence, synergy, stewardship, excellent. Now we will open law 1 because everything starts there. Your assignment sets your agenda, and agenda set crowds. Write this down. Clarity of purpose clarifies priorities. No clarity, no followership. People will not rearrange their lives around your confusion. Influence begins when your assignment answers the question, why does my life exist in this season? Jeremiah 29-11 is God's announcement, not your invention. I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and to give you a future and a hope. Plans pre-exist applause. In other words, you don't create purpose, you discover it. Tweet that. When you discover purpose, your calendar stops being a prison of other people's emergencies and becomes a sermon of your convictions. Leadership is the courage to say no. Write it down. Every yes must serve purpose, or it is treason against your assignment. Jesus at 12 said, I must be about my Father's business. Luke 2:49. Must, not maybe, not if it's convenient. That one word turned relatives into bystanders and purpose into a compass. Your followers are not looking for a weather vane, they are looking for a compass. If I can predict your yes and your no by your purpose, I can trust you and follow you. Calendars preach louder than microphones. Show me your schedule and I'll read your theology. Here's your metric. Please write this down. If you cannot state your purpose in one sentence, others cannot repeat it. If they cannot repeat it, they cannot prioritize around it. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. One sentence. Make it plain. A young principal called her Miriam, stood before her staff and said, our purpose to graduate readers who lead. 8 words. Then she blocked 7:45 a.m. for free breakfast reading labs, trained volunteers, and opened doors early. Within 2 weeks, parents moved drop-offs earlier, coaches shifted practice, the cafeteria reordered shipments, priorities migrated to her purpose because it was clear, compelling, and scheduled. Influence is when other people change their priorities for your purpose, makes that sensible. Application, write this down. Audit your week with a red pen. If an activity does not advance your assignment, either delete it or delegate it. Create non-negotiable purpose blocks daily. Protect them like an embassy. The devil doesn't need to make you wicked to stop you. He only needs to make you busy. Say no to good so you can say yes to assignment. Psalm 90-12 prays. Teach us to number our days, not just count them. Numbering means allocating them to purpose. Say this out loud. I discover, I define, I defend. Purpose defines the target. Now the path appears. In other words, once you know why you exist, you will see the specific pains you must own. That is where we go next. Solve what people feel. Law 2 is waiting. Here we are. Purpose chose your lane. Now pain will reveal your speed. Write this down. Success begins with identifying a problem to solve. What did I say? Say it out loud. Good. God does not anoint hobbies. He anoints assignments aimed at pain. Influence is granted to problem owners, not problem commentators. People don't follow your opinions. They follow your remedies. Attention follows relief. Tweet that to somebody right now. Let's go to the water with Jesus. Luke 5 says he entered Simon's boat, taught the crowd, then turned to a Thai professional and gave surgical instructions. Launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. Location out from the shore. Depth into the deep. Side, let down your nets now, not later. Simon protested. We toiled all night and caught nothing, but at your word, law-keeping, he obeyed. The result? Nets breaking, boat sinking, partner signaling, right problem, right instruction, right result, location, depth, side. In other words, he solved what they felt. Empty nets, public loss, professional shame. He didn't preach about fish, he delivered fish. That's why fishermen left nets. Priorities transferred to a man who relieved pain on schedule. Please write this down. If you ignore pain, people ignore you. If you reduce pain, people reorganize for you. The bigger the problem you own, the bigger the influence you gain. Joseph owned famine for nations' global influence. Esther owned genocide, royal influence. David owned national fear. Goliath fell. Songs rose. Doors opened. Don't ask for more followers. Ask for a larger problem to adopt with your gift. Application, grab your pen. List the top 3 pains of your people. Not your preferences, their pains. What keeps your team late? What makes your customers complain? What do your neighbors pay extra to avoid? Write them down. Now align your gift as the remedy. If your gift is analysis, build a dashboard that gives leaders sight in 5 minutes. If your gift is hospitality, design a welcome process that cuts first visit anxiety in half. If your gift is engineering, remove 3 steps from a process and give families 1 hour back each week. Don't declare value, deliver value where it hurts. A story to make it concrete. A young mechanic, call him Joel, noticed single mothers breaking down on the highway near his shop. Pain, unreliable cars, unsafe delays, tight budgets. He created a Saturday safety sweep, free diagnostics, tire checks, oil discounts, a play corner for kids. He posted a simple schedule and guaranteed 4 or 5 minute turnarounds. Within a month, soccer leagues changed practice times so families could attend. A city councilwoman shifted her Saturday route to stop by. Priorities moved because pain moved. Influence happens when your solution inserts dignity where people have been bleeding time and hope. Say this to yourself. I own the problem. My purpose is designed to heal. Ownership means you stop blaming, stop waiting, and start building predictable relief. Start small if you must, but start visible. Create a weekly relief rhythm every Tuesday at 7 a.m., every Saturday at 10 a.m., so people can plan their lives around your solution. Remember, calendars don't chase confusion, they chase certainty. Now hear the bridge, because this is where pretenders are exposed. When you touch people's pain, they will test your character. Problem solvers must be trusted. Integrity magnetizes trust. If your measurements are honest, your prices are fair, your promises are kept, people will not only receive your solution, they will defend it and recommend it. That is law 3 knocking at the door. Integrity of principles. Solve what they feel, then protect what you build with unbreakable honesty, and you will never lack for willing followers. Law 3 is here. Write this down. Integrity means integrated. Integrated means no gaps between what you say and what you do. Integer, whole number. Integrity, whole person. When your words and your works line up, people can lean on you without falling through. The integrity of the upright guides them. Proverbs 11:3. Guidance comes from integrity, because integrity creates predictability, and predictability creates trust, and trust is the magnet that pulls people to reorder their priorities around you. Say it out loud. Trust follows integrity. Here, the moral physics judgment is built into the law. You don't break laws, laws break you. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever man sows, that he will also reap. Galatians 6-7. Sow deceit, reap distrust. Even if you get away publicly, your influence account records the withdrawal. Sow truth, reap trust. It's that simple, it's that brutal, and it's that beautiful. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Matthew 5:37. In other words, don't pad, don't shade, don't dance, say it, do it, and do it when you said you would. Write this down. Trust accrues in pennies and compounds with time. Micro promises make micro credibility. If you say, I'll call you at 5, call at 5, not 5-7 with an excuse. If you advertise 4 or 5 minute turnarounds, deliver in 43 and apologize for 47. Luke 16:10 says, he who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. The least is the test. Your 7 a.m. start time is not a calendar issue. It is a character issue. Every kept commitment is a deposit. Every missed commitment is a withdrawal. Treat this. Influence thrives on tiny kept promises. Remember Joel, our mechanic? Law 2 made him visible. Law 3 made him believable. He posted a big sign, no surprises, we tell you before we touch it. He printed the labor rate, texted photos of worn parts. And listen, when a supplier double shipped filters and the clerk missed it, he called every customer and refunded $3 each. Pennies. But mother started planning their Saturdays around his shop. A delivery company moved his fleet service to his bay. Why? Proverbs 11:1. Dishonest scales are an abomination, but a just weight is his delight. He kept just weights. People trusted his time and his totals. Calendars migrated to his integrity. Public consistency is costly. Write this down. Principles over popularity. Break rules, never break laws. If a supervisor tells you round the numbers, everyone does it, that's a rule. The law says you shall not bear false witness. Choose the law. You may lose a bonus today, but you gain a reputation that budgets and boards will chase tomorrow. Psalm 15 describes the person who swears to his own hurt and does not change. That's integrity. You keep your word even when it cuts you. And influence follows the cut because people will sacrifice their convenience for your consistency. Say it out loud. Consistent obedience to principles creates the trust that makes people choose my priorities. What did I say? Say it again. Good. Because when people believe your intent is clean, they will give you access. But to keep access, you must prove you can deliver. Trusted intent must meet trusted ability. That is where we go next. Law 4, discipline and competence. Excellence separates you. Trusted intent must meet trusted ability. Write this down. Daily discipline produces visible competence, and competence commands attention and access. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. Proverbs 22:29 declares, do you see a man diligent in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before obscure men. Kings don't recruit feelings. Kings recruit competence. Tweak that. Excellence is not a miracle. Excellence is maintenance. Ecclesiastes 10:10 says, if the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. In other words, sharpen before you swing. Schedule before you announce. Practice before you post. Write this down. Discipline is sharpening on the calendar. No schedule, no edge, no access. Let me wake you up in a modern parable. LeBron James is not LeBron because of a jersey. He's LeBron because of a regimen. Film at odd hours, recovery protocols, the same shots 1,000 times when no one's clapping. He doesn't hope to be open. He trains to create space. Front offices move budgets, fans rework routines, and nations rearrange sleep to watch. Why? Competence visible on schedule. Influence follows predictable execution. Kings, owners, governors, CEOs rearrange their plans for proven performance. Say this out loud. Competence attracts kings. Now the system. Please write this down and build it this week. Schedule practice. Fixed blocks where you rehearse the essentials of your craft. Non-negotiable. Put it in ink. Schedule feedback. Weekly reviews with a mentor, a customer, or a scoreboard. Truth over ego. Schedule measurement. Define 3 numbers that prove improvement response time. Error rate, output per hour. What gets measured improves. What gets reviewed accelerates. Joel, our mechanic, did this. He created a 90-minute daily drill, talk, spec, refresh, diagnostic simulations, timed oil changes. He posted a wallboard, promised time versus delivered time. Comebacks per week, first time fixed rate. He invited 2 retired engineers to audit his process monthly. Quiet room, loud data. Within 60 days, his first time fix hit 97%. Guess who called? A regional delivery company with 120 vans. Kings recruit competence. Write this down. Consistency is louder than charisma. Charisma gets applause. Competence gets access. Don't ask for a platform. Earn one with predictability. Show up early, finish clean, debrief honestly, repeat relentlessly. Your excellence must become boring to you before it becomes compelling to others. And when access opens, keep sharpening. Excellence without maintenance decays into average. Average has no audience but kings. Say it with me. Sharpen, schedule, measure. Again, good. Now hear the bridge. Excellence is not for ego, it is for exchange. God upgrades your skill so you can upgrade someone else's life. When excellence arrives, direct it toward others' gain. That is where we go next. Law 5. Serve so well that your priorities become the obvious path to their progress. Write this down. In the kingdom, greatness is measured by how much better people become because you showed up. Jesus said, whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Matthew 20:26. Mark T. Thermophia. In other words, people don't follow titles, they follow benefits. Tweet that. Influence grows where your presence removes their pain and accelerates their progress predictably. Say it out loud. I serve until my priorities become their progress. Now the engine, please write this down. Do a value audit. If they align with your priorities, what do they gain this week, in 30 days, in a quarter? Be specific. Minutes saved, dollars protected, errors reduced, access increased, confidence restored. Vague value doesn't move calendars. If a parent joins your reading lab, do they get a child up 2 reading levels in 9 weeks? If a manager adopts your meeting rhythm, do decisions shrink from 10 days to 48 hours? If a customer uses your tool, do support tickets drop by 40%? What did I say? Tangible wins move people. Design your priorities to deliver numbers, not noise. Service is not random kindness. It is engineered advantage. Build systems that make other people's success easier than their current habits. Meetings that start on time with clear outcomes. Dashboards that answer the top 5 questions at a glance. Templates that remove guesswork. Decisions that default to dignity. Joel did this. He didn't just fix cars, he designed relief. He added text check-ins at 15-minute intervals, a kid's corner with homework help, a no-surprise parts board, loaner strollers, and a policy. If we're late by 10 minutes, coffee vouchers on us. Mothers begin to schedule haircuts and errands around his bay because his system respected their time. Calendars migrated to service. Proof seals it. Write this down. Testimonials are receipts. Skepticism bows to evidence. Jesus told John's messengers, go and tell John what you have seen and heard. Luke 7:22, blind see, lame walk. That's a case study. Capture before, after. We cut onboarding from 14 days to 5. Our first time fix rose from 81% to 97%. Students gained 1.6 reading levels in a term, published with permission. Not to boast, watch this, to teach your market how to prioritize. Revelation says we overcome by the word of their testimony. Testimony converts curiosity into consent. Write this down and tweet it. Serve so well that your priorities are the obvious path to their progress. When that happens, you won't have to beg, they will budget. But to multiply service beyond your current circle, your future must be seen, said, and sung. In other words, service scales at the speed of vision. That's where we go next. Make it plain, make it sticky, and watch private conviction become public movement. Write this down. Communicated vision converts private conviction into public movement. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain upon tablets that he may run who reads it. Plain produces pace. Clarity creates speed. If it's fuzzy, people freeze. If it's plain, people run. 1 Corinthians 14:8 adds, if the trumpet gives an uncertain sound, who will prepare for battle? In other words, a blurry trumpet makes a lazy army. Tweet that. Clarity is compassion. Confusion is cruelty. Vision is a clear picture of a preferred future that organizes present behavior. Write that down. What is vision? A clear picture that organizes behavior. Say it with me again. That definition must fit in the mouth, on the wall, and in the calendar, or it's not vision, it's a vibe. And vibes don't move budgets. You want movement? Build a call and response toolkit so your people can teach others without you. Give them a sentence to declare, a slogan to remember, and a story to repeat. Why do we exist? One sentence. What's our aim this quarter? One slogan. Who benefited last week? One story with numbers. Now the cadence. Please write this down. Say it, show it, schedule it. Language, visuals, and rituals embed priorities. Say it short, strong, and steady. No paragraphs. Give me punchlines. Show it one-page maps, simple icons, a scoreboard that the janitor can read at a glance. Schedule it rituals that rehearse the future, like a weekly 1-2 2-minute stand-up, a monthly teach-back where 3 people explain the vision without notes, and a daily 2-minute story at shift change. Repetition is not redundant. Repetition is reinforcement. Signal strength determines distance. Repeat until your team can teach it. Influence is transferred understanding. Let me make it plain with Joel. After he engineered service, he wrote the vision in 3 words on the door. The invoice is the text. Safe, seen, on time. That's it. He painted green lanes in the lot labeled safe, posted a big wall clock labeled on time, and trained his team to greet every customer by name, seen. Then he scheduled it, a Monday 8, 2 huddle, to read the 3 words, a Wednesday photo board of before, after, no surprises, and a Saturday 2-minute testimony from a family. We gained 1 hour, 12 minutes this week. Say it, show it, schedule it. Within a month, moms were quoting the 3 words before his staff did. That's sticky. That's movement. Write this down. If they can't draw it on a napkin, you don't have a vision, you have a speech. If they can't recite it without you, you don't have a team, you have an audience. Teach until they teach, post until they point, measure until they memorize, and keep it plain. Habakkuk didn't say make it deep, he said make it plain so runners can run. Your job is not to impress, your job is to mobilize. Say it out loud, say it, show it, schedule it. Again, good, because now we move from theory to proving grounds. We will take this written, plain, sticky vision and prove it in small circles, earn trust with visible wins, and then scale steady. Start where you are with who you have at the speed of clarity and watch calendars migrate to your future. Proving grounds now. Write this down. Influence is earned in inches before it is measured in miles. God's pattern is always center out. Acts 1-8. You shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Jerusalem is your small circle. Say it out loud. Order of operations, myself, my household, my team, my city. If you can't lead your morning, don't ask to lead the month. Tweet that. Start with you. 7 days, 1 micropilot. Choose a single priority shift and schedule it where people can see it. Calendar pilot block, a 45-minute purpose block at the same time daily. Budget pilot reassign 2% this week to tools that cut cycle time. Workflow pilot, remove 1 step from a process and time the difference. Measure uptake. Did you keep your block 5 or 7 days? Did the 2% buy what you promised? Did turnaround drop? Luke 16:10, faithful in little, ruler over much. Your scoreboard is your integrity mirror. Now, move to your household. Post a simple wall board, 3 lines. Purpose block kept, on-time departures, unplanned screens. Proverbs 27-23 says, be diligent to know the state of your flocks. Flocks have numbers. If the board improves, the house has believed. Celebrate loudly. What you celebrate, you replicate. In other words, throw confetti on the behavior you want multiplied. Take the same pilot to your team. This week, test 1 ritual, a 12-minute 8-2 stand-up with 3 outcomes, what we did, what we learned, what's next. Scoreboard, 3 numbers on a public wall or channel. Start on time, rate, decisions made, cycle time. If it's visible, it's valuable. Habakkuk said, write it so runners can run. Runners don't sprint. Activate the feedback loop. Invite objections on purpose. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Proverbs 27-6. Ask, what tripped you? Where was the instruction unclear? What tool would make this easier? Then refine the instruction, remove friction, and reinforce wins. At a weekly 2-minute testimony, because we started at 8:02, our client got answers by 10:30. Evidence educates hesitators. Joel did this. He didn't launch a franchise. He piloted a Saturday safety sweep with 10 cars, a timer, and a whiteboard, promised versus delivered, first time, fixed minutes, return to families. He invited mothers to critique the flow, move the play corner. The sun is in the kids' eyes. He adjusted. 2 weeks later, the board turned green and neighbors scheduled their mornings around his ritual. Only then did he add a second bay. Prove it small, scale it steady. Write this down. Momentum is fragile, protect it. The 3 assassins are shortcuts, traditions, and trends. The longest way to success is the shortcut. Don't skip the reps. Jesus asks, why do you break the command of God for the sake of your tradition? Matthew 15:3, laws over habits. Trends are tools, not truths. Use them. Don't marry them. We'll expose each one next. For now, start where you are with who you have at the speed of clarity, and let your small circle testify you're ready for a larger one. Say it out loud. Start small. Start now. Start seeing pitfalls now. Write this down. The longest way to success is the shortcut. Write that down. What did I say? Say it out loud. Good. Shortcuts promise speed, but steal seasons. Proverbs 13:11 says, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. In other words, anything you gain without process, you cannot keep without pressure. Shortcuts skip laws, and you don't break laws. Laws break you. Gravity is patient jump off the building, and only time separates you from judgment. In the same way, skip practice, skip measurement, skip integrity, and watch your influence fracture on impact. Now, traditions. Jesus looked religious leaders in the eye and asked, why do you break the command of God for the sake of your tradition? Matthew 15:3. Write this down. Habits that make you comfortable can quietly replace laws that make you fruitful. The law says, be diligent, start on time, deliver on promise. Your tradition says, we always begin with 20 minutes of warm greetings. Everyone understands if we run late. No, traditions that dishonor people's time, dishonor people. The law is love. Love is measured in respect. Respect is measured in predictability. If your ritual violates the result, the ritual must repent. Tweet that. Trends next. Trends are tools, not truths. Tactics can change. Principles cannot. Update methods, not morals. Paul said, I have become all things to all men. 1 Corinthians 9:22. That's method. But he refused to corrupt the gospel. That's principle. Use the platform of the week, the app of the month, the format of the hour, but do not outsource your integrity, your purpose, or your metrics to algorithms. If your excellence depends on a filter, you don't have excellence, you have cosmetics. Beware counterfeit influence. Viral attention without value collapses. Don't rent crowds, build communities. Renting a crowd requires giveaways, outrage, or spectacle. Building a community requires purpose. Problem solved, principles kept, competence visible, service engineered, and vision repeated the 6 laws. Joe's competitor threw a flashy car show with prizes. Views spiked. Bay stayed empty on Monday. Joel kept his safe, seen, on time, rhythm. He didn't rent a Saturday, he built a neighborhood. Evidence outlives hype. Write this down. Refuse shortcuts that skip process, dethrone traditions that violate law, and treat trends as servants, never masters. Guard your momentum like a newborn. And to keep it growing, listen carefully. You must overlay these 6 laws with a proven backbone that sustains pressure, multiplies clarity, and compounds consistency. We're about to give you that backbone, the 10 P's. Don't miss a word. This is where durability meets destiny. Write this down. The 6 laws are your engine. The 10 P's are the oil, the frame, and the drivetrain that keep that engine cool under pressure. Overlay produces durability. What did I say? Overlay produces durability. Tweet that. When you place these 10 across the 6, influence stops being a campaign and becomes a lifestyle. Start at the top. Purpose law 1 sets the agenda. It's the sentence that decides your calendar. No purpose, no priority. Perception is next. This is law 6. Talking how you see and how they see. Calibrate your lenses with evidence and testimony so the vision stays plain and sticky. Potential ties to law 4. It is the skill you have not yet used. Train it, stretch it, put capacity on the schedule. Passion fuels. Law 2. It is focused energy toward pain. Passion without a problem is noise. Passion pointed at pain is a magnet. Principles secure. Law 3, they are your non-negotiables, your just weights on the counter. If a decision violates a principle, it's already expensive. Planning operationalizes laws 1 through 6. Proverbs 20:18 says, plans are established by counsel. In other words, put your purpose on paper, translate vision into milestones, assign names and dates, and budget for excellence. People carry the plan. Choose runners, not sitters. that he may run who reads it. Give it to faithful, teachable people who can teach others also. 2 Timothy 2:2. Persistence and perseverance, twins with different jobs. Persistence is the daily refusal to skip the reps. Perseverance is the storm-proof hard when the wind blows. Hebrews 6:12, through faith and patience we inherit the promises. Faith believes it. Patience outlasts resistance. And prayer, don't miss this. Prayer is alignment and power. Psalm 127:1. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain. Ask for wisdom. James 1:5. Invite favor and submit your laws to the lawgiver. You don't break laws. Laws break you, so pray to stay aligned. Now install the rhythm that keeps drift away. Joshua 1-8 is the template. Meditate, do, review. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. Meditate day and night that you may observe to do. Then you will make your way prosperous. Reverse the verse. If you don't meditate and do, you will not prosper. So daily, mouth, mind moves. Speak the vision. Think the principles. Act the plan. Weekly, host a 20-minute Joshua table. Read the purpose. Review 3 numbers. Repent of drift. Reset the next 7 days. Write this down. Rhythm protects revelation. Joel overlaid the 10. Purpose, restore time and safety to families. Perception, safe, seen, on time, everywhere. Potential, daily drills to raise first time fix. Passion, he wept over stranded mothers and turned tears into systems. Principles, printed rates, honest weights. Planning, 8-2 huddles, Wednesday audits, Saturday sweep. People, 2 retirees, 3 trainees, 1 councilwoman, turned advocate. Persistence, rain or shine, same ritual. Perseverance. When a flood closed a bay, he set tents in the lot and kept his promise. Pray every morning, Lord, establish the work of our hands, Psalm 90-17. Result, the 6 laws didn't visit his shop, they moved in. Say it out loud. Overlay the 6 with the 10 and influence compounds. Good, because now we take this backbone and run a short, sharp test. 7 days, visible proof. We're going from insight to evidence, so calendars start migrating to your leadership. Get your pen, we build a 7-day influence sprint next. 7 days. Visible proof. Write this down. Evidence attracts followership. What did I say? Say it back to me. Good. We are going from talk to traction. Start small. Start now. Start seeing. Day 1, purpose, priority. Put your assignment in 1 sentence and build a no list that protects it. I exist to verb people by method so they result. Example, I equip managers to make meetings decisive so teams move faster. Now the no list, 3 activities you will stop this week because they don't serve that sentence. Proverbs 29-18, where there is no vision, the people perish. In other words, no sentence, no sense. Post it where you work and where you wake. Day 2, problem ownership, interview. 3 people you serve. Ask, what is your top pain right now? What have you tried? What would better look like next week? Take notes in their words, not yours. Mark 10:51, Jesus asked the blind man, what do you want me to do for you? Ask, don't assume, circle the common pain. Day 3, integrity of principles. Audit and fix 3 integrity gaps, promises, processes, or policies. Where did you overpromise? Correct it, and if needed, refund it. Which process creates lateness? Simplify it. What policy disrespects people? Replace it. Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes. Make 3 tiny promises and keep them on time. Tweet this, trust grows in inches, not press releases. Day 4, discipline and competence. Block 90 minutes for sharpening with metrics. Choose 1 drill, 1 measure, 1 mentor. Example, run your core task 5 times and track time, error rate, and consistency. Ecclesiastes 10:10, sharpen before you swing. Proverbs 22-29, competence attracts kings. Put the numbers on a wall. Day 5, service value exchange. Design 1 system that makes others win faster this week. A 12-minute stand-up with outcomes, a 2-click request form, a 15-minute update text, a default decision that saves 30 minutes. Mark 10:45, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Engineer advantage. Don't improvise kindness. Day 6, vision and communication. Craft and test a repeatable message. Definition, slogan, story, definition, 1 sentence, what we do, and for whom. Slogan, 3 to 5 words they can chant. Sorry, 90 seconds, but numbers before, after. Habakkuk 2:2, write it plain. 1 Corinthians 14:8, clear trumpet. Test it with 3 people. If they can't repeat it, make it plainer. Day 7, review and reset with the 10 P's. Sit at your Joshua table. Joshua 1 to 8, meditate, do, review. Record 3 numbers that move. Celebrate 1 win loudly. What you celebrate, you replicate. Then reset for week 2. Refine. Purpose, adjust, perception, schedule, potential, drills, stoke, passion toward the pain, recommit to principles, upgrade planning, assign people, lock, persistence, brace perseverance, pray for alignment, Psalm 90 to 17, establish the work of our hands, say it out loud, 7 days, visible proof, influence in motion. Now we seal it. Write this down. Covenant closes the gap between intention and institution. What did I say? Covenant closes the gap. Influence is when other people change their priorities for yours. Say that out loud. That is the measurement. Not likes, not noise. Voluntary priority transfer. Tweet that. I want you to enter a covenant tonight. Mouth, calendar, community. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do and your plans will be established. In other words, commitment activates establishment. Stand in your heart right now and repeat after me. Write it first if you need to. I will obey laws, break limiting rules, and serve with excellence. Again, I will obey laws, break limiting rules, and serve with excellence. Why? Because you don't break laws, laws break you. And rules that suffocate purpose must be challenged for the sake of the law of love and fruitfulness. Matthew 15:3. Now, schedule it. Please write this down. What is not scheduled is not sacred. Joshua 1 to 8 gives you the cadence. Meditate, do, review. So put a weekly Joshua table on your calendar, 20 minutes, same time, same place. Agenda, read your purpose sentence. Check the 6 laws. Purpose, priority, problem ownership, integrity of principles, discipline and competence, service value exchange, vision and communication. Then overlay the 10 P's. Purpose, perception, potential, passion, principles, planning, people, persistence, perseverance, prayer, circle 1 drift, 1 win, 1 next step. Then book a monthly 90-minute audit. Update numbers, refresh rituals, retire traditions that violate laws. Write this down. Rhythm protects influence. Now share it. 2 Timothy 2:2 says, what you have heard from me, entrust to faithful people who will be able to teach others also. In other words, what you teach, you keep. Choose one person this week, a colleague, a cousin, a classmate, and teach this 6-law framework with the 10 P overlay. Give them the definition, the 6 laws, 1 story, and the 7-day sprint. Sit with them for 30 minutes and set 1 appointment for that Joshua table. Influence multiplies through instruction, not intention. James 1:22 commands, be doers of the word and not hearers only. So act upon what you heard. Deuteronomy 30:19 says, choose life, choose law keeping over luck chasing, choose process over shortcuts, choose service over self-promotion. Your city is waiting for your obedience. Isaiah 60:1, arise, shine, for your light has come. Let your light so shine before men, Jesus said, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. Matthew 5:16. Good works are law-kept habits made visible. Lift your hands in your heart as I bless you. Father, establish the work of their hands. Psalm 90-17. Grant them wisdom to honor laws, courage to break limiting rules, diligence to sharpen daily, compassion to serve, clarity to speak plainly, and favor to teach faithfully. I call calendars aligned, testimonies abundant, and cities reorganizing around righteous leadership. Say it one more time. Influence is when other people change their priorities for mine, because my priorities flow from purpose, serve their progress, and honor your laws. Now go, speak it. Schedule it, share it, and don't miss a week at your Joshua table. Your proof is your pulpit. Your obedience is the invitation your city has been waiting for.